While Forspoken has already been fighting an uphill battle towards its release in the new year, it still remains one of my most anticipated games of 2023. We recently got a fairly large demo that actually does a pretty good job of showing off what the game will end up like, and it lets you get a feel for combat and movement. However, just like the marketing for this game, things have not been explained well or clearly to the players at all. So here are some really important things I think a lot of people missed in the demo. First of all, I want to talk about the settings. The settings menu here actually has a lot of really cool features and things that you can turn on, turn off, or modify in small little ways. Some of the first things that I would recommend that you want to do is go into the settings menu and turn on auto pickup. This game has been shown to be amazing at movement. You're going to be parkouring all over the place, you're going to be running and moving, you don't want to stop all the time to pick up the items. By default, you have to stop, press triangle to pick something up, and then keep going. If you turn this setting on, you can actually just keep running right over top of something and it'll pick it up. This keeps things flowing a lot faster, you don't have to break up your momentum, overall makes it feel a lot better. A special note, this actually also goes for when you open a chest. Normally when you open a chest, you have to push triangle to open it and then triangle to pick the item up. When you have this turned on, you just push triangle to open the chest and it automatically picks it up, kind of like you would expect in most games. The next important setting, I think, is auto switch support spells. The support spells are the ones that you control with L1 and L2. These are ones that usually are more of like a little quick one-off that you can do a quick little cool spell like binding somebody to the ground or creating like a big flame barrier or protecting yourself with like stone shards and stuff like that. And since all the spells have a cooldown on them, that means that every time you use one, you have to actually open up the menu again with L1, pick a different spell, and then L2 to use it again, which means you're going to be opening and closing that menu a lot. If you turn on this auto switch support spells, it'll actually switch to a different one that is up and ready to use right away. Now, it may not always be the one that you were necessarily wanting to use, so you can always open it up and pick, but I found in combat, since things are happening so fast, a lot of those support spells you can use pretty much any time, so it's nice to always have it just kind of ready at hand that you can just quickly push that L2 button instead of having to always open that menu. I heard a lot of people complaining about the camera movement and targeting and tracking and everything like that, so there is options to increase the camera speed, so I thought that's a great option to point out here in the settings. There is also difficulty settings. I don't know if it was the same for everyone, but I found that when I first started playing the demo, everything was dying way too fast. I felt super overpowered, and again, I think we have more magic spells than we're supposed to at this point in the game and everything like that. I think they did kind of boost us up just so we could see what's gonna happen. But there are difficulty settings, so you can change between easy, medium, and hard. I think the demo actually starts on easy, maybe. I noticed in my settings it was set at easy at one point, so I quickly switched it up to hard. Hard makes things a lot more interesting. I found I was actually having to use health potions. Combat became a lot more about like dodging and keeping moving rather than standing still. It does make the enemies a lot more spongy, so even like the little mobs, the little zombies and stuff like that, they take a lot more hits and everything, but I'd say definitely play with those settings to see which one you actually like. I'd say medium might be a sweet spot for a lot of people, because I don't think a lot of people want to have a really long encounter with even just like the small little mobs, but hard, especially on like some of those bosses or mini bosses and stuff like that, felt amazing. Like it was so good having to actually manage your health, like manage what spells you're doing, like make sure you're always moving around and stuff like that. So definitely play with those difficulty settings. Last one I wanted to point out here is actually there is a stamina recovery speed on here. This felt a little bit like cheating to me if you change it around, but there is options like that in there. There's even like enemy knockdown time and stuff, so you can have it so that they stay knocked down longer if you want, or you can have the default just like I've got here. Otherwise, like you can have it so that when you open those spell menus that it actually freezes time completely rather than just do like the slowdown. So there are a lot of settings in here that you can tweak. I don't know if everyone took a look at these, but I would definitely say auto pickup turn on, auto switch support spells if you need to increase that camera speed, but definitely adjust the difficulty settings. So the next area I wanted to talk about was movement. Everything in the marketing has shown how amazing movement was going to be, running and jumping around this huge open world and everything, and for the most part it feels amazing in the demo. I love it. I had so much fun just running around and exploring. I spent hours definitely just going around seeing what there was to find in there, but I found they actually don't tell you a lot about what you should be doing with that movement. she has this really cool like whip movement where she can actually like shoot out this magical whip that'll help pull her to an object, and you can use it when you're traversing, and there's certain like orange rocks and stuff that you can target and hit, and it'll make you fly up into the air or fling further across. But it felt really aimless at first because I was just like pushing square, and sometimes it would go, sometimes it wouldn't, so I guess you're either in range or you're not. It doesn't actually tell you, but if you hold square, you actually can then aim the whip. Everything slows down. You get an aiming reticle that you can point to like a wall, or you can point to one of those little jump objects or anything like that. And then once you let go, she actually shoots it out, and it works as you would expect, kind of thing. So it definitely keeps your momentum going a lot faster. It makes things a lot more predictable. So try that out. Hold square, you can aim the whip and get a lot more precise movement. Parkouring and running, you hold the circle button. As you hold this, the longer you hold this, you'll see her feet burst into flames and you actually lose some stamina, so you can't keep parkouring forever. That's not actually true, and it doesn't tell you this, but if you push circle when her feet go on fire, it does not consume stamina, and it actually gives you a little boost to your speed. You can actually unlock another special spell or upgrade, I guess, in it that will actually make it so that every time you time that button press, that it actually restores your stamina instead of losing it, kind of thing. So again, when you're running around and you see her feet burst into flames, just hit circle again, and you actually get a boost of speed, and you don't lose stamina that way, so you can keep running basically forever. The next thing I noticed was that actually pressing circle when you land on a wall will jump you higher using some stamina. I think it uses one stamina block each time, but again, there are a lot of points when you see something way up high that you want to get to and you just can't seem to do it. So you want to run at that wall, and then as soon as her feet, she kind of flips off and her feet come back to land on it again, push circle again, and it'll actually make her do another flip, and then you can do that again until you run out of stamina. So you can actually scale walls a lot higher than if you're just holding it and trying to get up there, and it doesn't do a good job of explaining this. Another kind of cool trick as you're exploring around the world, the first thing I actually noticed was that jumping right when you land gives you a little bit of a speed boost, and it actually doesn't use stamina, so you can look pretty silly doing it, but if you want, you can bunny hop around the entire area as you're exploring, and you can do it really fast. She does all these cool flips in the air and everything like that, but again, it doesn't use stamina, so just jumping right as you land, you get a little bit of a speed boost and you can keep going. The other thing I thought was interesting was actually that there is a run button, not the parkour, not the speed, everything like that, but if you push down L3, she will actually just do like a little run. I don't know in what situations you'd really want to use this, because pretty much you seem like you always want to be going super fast, but yeah, it is there, and I mean, it's something available that you can use if you want. Now my next stuff is actually some of the mechanics that they definitely don't do a good job explaining in the in the demo itself. One other thing I don't think a lot of people noticed is that you can hold down to create a camp anywhere as long as you're not in combat. As long as you have one firewood, you can do this, which you can find anywhere in the world as you're running around. This actually lets you craft things like potions, which is really handy when you're out and about and you're running low on potions. You can also upgrade your gear, so you can make your cloak stronger, you can make your necklaces stronger, everything like that, all as you're going without having to like fast travel back or like go somewhere else. So that's actually something that's really helpful. You can also rest, so you can sleep and cover your HP that way as well too. So it seems like you can only hold 3 firewood at a time, but yeah, it's actually really cool to be able to camp anywhere. Another thing I noticed, I was watching a lot of people playing online. The game does not make it very clear to you that you can actually upgrade your magic at any time. So as you're running around, there are little like blue watery looking balls of MP actually out in the world, and if you run through those, you pick them up, you increase the amount of MP you have. You can get MP from battles, from leveling up, from different things like that, but you don't actually have to go to like a town or like anything special to be able to learn new magic spells. So you can actually just go into your main menu, go to your magic spot, and it will actually show you the amount of MP you have, and each spell then you can actually go in and you can unlock directly for yourself, like right there, without having to go anywhere special, which I think is actually really cool. It's really nice that you don't have to do anything special. It makes things a lot more fun being able to kind of learn that stuff on the go and keep going without having to slow down or go back and kind of pause your action. So as soon as you learn one of those spells, it adds it to the specific wheel that it's supposed to go with, either like the fire magic or the earth magic, and you can use it right away, which is really, really cool. Another thing the game doesn't really explain to you, but you will find little like havens or hideouts and little houses and stuff that you can go in where you can craft and you can sleep and you can do that kind of stuff. But there's also like a bookcase in there that if you actually go to, you can pick 3 spells at a time, so up to 3 spells that you can actually upgrade or kind of like do like a little challenge for that will give you like a little permanent stat boost or do something to modify that spell by completing those challenges. It seems like you can do this with pretty much any spell that you have. The challenges range from anything like defeating enemies or using the spell a certain amount of times or defeating enemies in a certain way, which is really cool and makes you play the game a little bit differently because you're trying to actually do these challenges, and it's something that you'll be able to work on the entire time. As soon as you complete one of these challenges, if you go back to your magic menu, you can actually then select that spell, choose to upgrade it, and it will upgrade it, give you that permanent boost, and you can then hold another challenge. So next time you go back to one of those little hideouts or anything like that, you can pick up another challenge. Some other cool things that I noticed is that some spells actually have different abilities when you're in the air. So for instance, the little cool fire lance that you can charge up, you get a fire lance in your hand, you can chuck it long distance, and then it explodes in the enemy. If you actually release that when you're jumping, instead she'll do almost like a Final Fantasy Dragoon attack where she jumps into the air, lands at the enemy, and then there's a huge AoE fire spear kind of thing that pops out of the ground. A couple other spells do things like this as well too, where they'll kind of change up just a little bit when you're in the air. So playing around with how you're actually using your spells can make a difference as well too, which is actually really, really cool and gives you more options for combos and keeping things moving. There is also the option while dodging backwards while charging a spell, it actually does like an extra special dodge and releases the spell, so you're doing like an attack and dodge all at the same time. Dodging is still just using the parkour button, so you got to push that circle button and hold back, but only seems to work when you're holding backwards, not sideways. But it is actually cool to see that you can release, and she does like a cool special animation for those and stuff like that too. Speaking of dodging, another thing that it doesn't explain very well is that you can dodge most attacks. So your cuff is automatically always shielding you. You can take a certain amount of hits until it needs to recharge and then you take damage. But pressing the parkour, the circle button at just the last moment kind of thing and moving to a direction, you can do like actual dodges. And then if you follow up with an attack after, it counts as like a counter attack. When you see like that flashing silvery blue kind of thing, if you press the circle button and move at the same time, it'll actually do like a special dodge, and then you can again attack right after. You'll see that pop up actually in the skill ranking and everything that you see on the right hand side with the amount of points that's adding up to like your S rank and everything like that. The last 2 things I noticed with combat is that your own fire magic can interrupt your own attacks, which to me gets kind of annoying because a lot of the fire magic, you're doing these big explosions that kind of last there for a few seconds. The enemy's usually inside there, so you can't really get in close, or you should be wary if you get in close because it may actually interrupt your own attacks. It doesn't seem to hurt you, but it is still annoying that it kind of interrupts yourself. So I don't know if they're going to keep that in the final game or not, but definitely something that I noticed. The other thing is that doing the killer blow, so once you knock over or stagger an enemy and they kind of flip over or they fall down and you get that triangle prompt, not only does that do major damage, and a lot of times is when you're going to kill something like that, but it actually heals some health too. So whenever you see that, that can actually be like a quick way to kind of save yourself in battle, get yourself a little more health and make sure that you're not going to go down right away. The last thing that I wanted to point out in the demo is actually something that they didn't call any attention to in the demo itself, which I think is kind of cool, so people can go and find and explore and find it themselves. But there are these cute little cat familiars in the world, and there is one actually in the demo. And yes, you can pet the cat once you find it. But basically, there's like this cat altar that's actually right near the start of the demo. So right kind of behind you, you have to work your way around on the mountain to the left-hand side, I believe it is. And once you get your way up there, you interact with the cat tower. You see the cat kind of appear, and then it tells you have to explore the area to find the cat, I guess, because it kind of disappears. Once you find the cat, It does, I don't know if it's like a little mini game, I guess, where you crouch down and you don't want to scare it. And then once you do that, the cat familiar can actually show up at like those little refuges and stuff like that when you go into like a little house, and from there you can like pet them and see them. I don't know if they'll have any other like bonuses or anything. It doesn't seem to in the demo, but I thought that was actually really, really cute. And again, it's not one of those 5 missions that they kind of get you to do in the demo. So I'm sure a lot of people kind of just missed that. So yeah, so those are a lot of the things that I found in the demo. I actually really enjoyed it. I mean, it doesn't give us anything story-wise, so I have no idea what's going on really that way. I do think the banter between the Cuff and her is a little weird at sometimes, and like, I mean, I could do without like the swearing and stuff like that. There is an option in the settings too to adjust how often the Cuff talks and stuff too, so you can turn that down if it really does annoy you. Overall, I'm still really excited for this game. I can't wait until it comes out next month in January of 2023, and I'm definitely going to play the whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Please let me know if you found anything else in the demo that I didn't mention here. I think it was a really good demo. It was really cool to actually see and be able to play, and it kind of just cemented how much I think I'm going to enjoy the game. And let me know if you're going to pick it up next month too. I feel like the game's getting a lot more hate than it really deserves and stuff like that, and I'd like to see that other people are excited for it too. So I hope you enjoyed. And as always, happy gaming.